Welcome everybody. This is our final week, session 3 of 3 for the unit CHCCSM013, Facilitate and Review Case Management. We have knowledge questions, which is your written assessment work, and we also have your skills assessment, which are your role plays. So this is part 1 recording, which is just an overview, a summary of what we have covered over the last 3 weeks. You have this resource as well. And then just briefly going over some of the key learnings. And then we will be moving over into a part 2 recording, which will be a demonstration of your peers from class, being in a guided assessor-led, which is a slight variation to all role plays when you're doing them live in class. It is not a role play that you need to have an assessor with you, but some learners like to do their role plays in classes, and we gather those skills as well. So as your trainer, we are doing Diploma of Community Services, and we'll be moving into a brand new unit after this week. Let's do our acknowledgement to country. So we acknowledge the traditional owners of the land where we work, study and live, and pay our respects to elders past, present and future. We celebrate the stories, culture and traditions of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander elders of all communities who also work and live on this land. I would like to extend the acknowledgement out to any of our learners that are watching tonight and any of our learners who join us in our classes. Just to let you know that there is some topics that do come up in the role play, so therefore the discussion. They are mental health. We all have a mental health, but just in case there is something there that might trigger you, some of the content as workers and also as students, just need to know that you can reach out and speak to somebody. So Lifeline are great, 13, 11, 14, 24/7, nationwide, and you can definitely share that you're a student, and it can be hard going sometimes. They're very used to that, being a Lifeline counsellor and gone through the program several times as a refresher. It's a good skill, and they're all trained on the other end of the phone for you as well. You can, if you do identify as First Nation, you can go to 13 Yarn. There are websites as well. Just a little bit of housekeeping. Take breaks as well. Try not to do your full study in one bite. Having said that, our classes can be impactful and a lot of work. Everyone comes ready to go to work and make sense of the assessments and connect with peers. Our classes have some incredible workers and people who want to work in the sector. So everyone's at their own stage with their own journey, with their own why. You are studying this, and we're here to be able to individualise that for you. But our live classes are there, and they are there to cover the unit that we are doing and to make sure that we make our content relevant, and it's guided by your assessor, which is me and your trainer on that night. So a little bit around this unit in the outline. It is about case management, but it's also about doing projects as well. You will do this unit in your work placement. So with the diploma, you have 200 hours of work placement with some assessments on top of your studies. So this has been a good unit. It's a foundational one, and everybody does this to complete their studies. So you may be at the very end of your studies, or you may be just starting out. So just make sure that you're kind to yourself while you're doing this work. I'm going to just take you through what are the assessment requirements for this. We'd like to do our icebreaker and just check in. If you see us checking in and doing a number, and then that number is from 1 to 10. 1 is I'm here and please don't expect too much of me, and 10 is I'm really high, things are great. Tonight I'll do a check out because we'll be jumping straight in and getting some work done. So we had 9 learners tonight do their role plays. So you see here that these are the assessments. So you have an online quiz, which is task 1. Then you do a project, task 2. And you do your role play, task 3. And this one here is for me, the assessor. So when I go off camera and everyone's doing their role plays, that is the assessment tool that I'm using. I'm going to show you what that's like. What is it that I'm looking for when I'm assessing? So for this one, you may record your own and upload that into the portal. So there's some great resources for role plays. I guide you over there. Discord is how you can find other people, or of course classes you can. So you may not be able to sit in the full class, but there's a very active WhatsApp group and the class will open that circle and collaborate and network with you. So you always have someone who can do that, but you may work in the sector, use your colleagues, you can use family and friends, but you need to coach them so that they authentically fill that role. It's okay if they don't know it off by heart, if they're working off a script and the instructions, but it's you that we're assessing. So you must be on camera at all times. When you record that, you must state your name, your enrolled name with HADA, and the name of the unit, and show your ID, or state your student ID number so that we know it is your work that you are recording. If you're in class, we have that information. It's always good to announce what the unit is before you start. In placement, you're actually doing some work. So it's this is the version 2. So you're going to be doing a placement project for CHCCSM013. And before we progress, I just wanted to talk about what emotional regulation is, yours and your clients. So our check-in is, here we are in our comfort zone, and if we were looking at the scale of 1 to 10, this would be where you would be sitting in 5, just above 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then below we'd be going through from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So hypo-arousal means that we're feeling fairly flat, and hyper means we may be heightened. We really do not want the highs to be too high or the lows too low. However, our learning zone can be a struggle. We want to recognise that. It's unfamiliar but safe enough, foggy, distant, a bit uncomfortable. And then we have some observations I can see. So some people go off camera so they can yawn or lie down or slow down, and that's fine. You're working from home, it's an adult space, but if you need to be comfortable, then by all means go off camera and you can still see what's happening and you can hear what's happening, and you will get the recording sent out to you. But if you're turning up on camera, you're turning up for work as a sector worker or an emerging sector worker. So it's a professional setting, a professional class. That's our Zoom etiquette. So the learning zone, it may be that it is unfamiliar, but it's safe enough, but you're excited and nervous, a bit uncomfortable, buzzed, and you can feel a little bit of energy coming forward, but too high, hypervigilant, angry, anxious, running away, clenched fists, hot, heart pounding, and you're in that fight mode as well. So check in with yourself. We do that with our clients. You might have 5 clients back to back as case management, and you may have heard a big story and it's left an imprint. We need to get back into that comfort zone, safe, present, relaxed, comfortable, chill, loose, open. Lounging means that you're physically relaxed rather than tense, not lounging around. And then engaged, confident, alive, up a little, strength-based, smiling, leaning forward and connected. So that's how we engage in our classes. It's also how we engage with our clients. When you're a learner, an adult learner, you absolutely have the right to manage your own space. But when you come into class and you're on camera, it is a professional setting. So just a little bit of an introduction to what case management is a foundation skill, and you're doing a foundation qualification. So at the end of it, you'll have a good understanding of case management, the context for case management, the type of clients that we might work with, case management principles, legislative requirements, standards, and policies. So even though we did this in week 1, you will see in our final week tonight that during the skills assessment, all of this will be demonstrated. And that's what this unit is looking for, that you have the underpinning knowledge and the skills to apply to that standard in the sector. So we need to understand that we're in a cycle with our client, flexible processes, opportunities to identify problems and make changes along the way and review. As a case manager, you coordinate multiple tasks, ensure the goals are not overlooked, the client's own goals, not what we think for them. Services are delivered efficiently and effectively, and you keep on track for what the client's own goals are. The case management of it is the service may be 6 sessions, and we talk about that in our second recording. So know whatever the service model is. So we spoke about choosing a job and finding something that said case manager. I encourage you in your reflection time to go and look up what position a case manager is, and if it gives you a position description, if it says apply, quick apply will start to load up your information if you're registered, say use Seek, for example. But if it says apply, then it will usually take you to the employer's site. It will give you the name of the employer in most cases, or you could jump out of there and independently put that in the search engine and find out. A lot of larger organisations will advertise their current vacancies, but the position descriptions are there as well. It's helpful for you to know what is it that's required of me. And then, of course, our part 2 recording and what we've been doing for these 3 weeks, we have absolutely covered what case management is and what a case manager does. So your tasks: you direct the service provision, you identify and you're locating where those services outside of what you offer. You coordinate that, you're their anchor in making sure that they meet those goals. You monitor and you review that it's progressing, that it meets the needs of the clients, and that they have that opportunity to be able to change their mind and review that, and give you that feedback, advocating. So in their role play, we see the sister play the role and she's taken on the role as advocate, but you do also. It means that you're acting for the interests of the client. You'll research and you'll gather more of that, which will be evidence-based data. It's probably timely at this moment to just let you know that with AI, if you're using it, and a lot of us do, that if you copy and paste and put it into your assessment pieces, that there will be an automated one that picks it up and it does an assessment for us. You may see something flag that it's copied or plagiarism or something like that. That's because there's no other dialogue. But if you've gone and done some research and it's evidence-based, well, then of course it's going to be something that you copy because it's factual. But when it asks for a question to be answered, it is in your own words. So it's really important that you do that, and this will be picked up for you. So we understand that even your templates that you get from First Access, because it's been used before, it's not actually copying, it's a resource that we want you to duplicate and use that resource. So sometimes the reading that you get is more about the template. Please don't panic. If you need anything explained to you at all, we can unpack that for you and look. and your assessors that are marking will give you that feedback and guide you in that direction. So it might say, this is really good. Could you reframe that or add extra in your own words, just to be able to get you there? But it is a new assessment tool when you're going in, so you may notice that change. So it's about providing information that is evidence-based, that you've researched it and it is best practice and what the sector are after. And then you're working with clients and families, carers, or significant others. It can be mates, peers, but that's what we call the alliance circle, the wraparound supports that your clients have. So outside of you. So the phases of case management and the cycle that we're in. So we do engagement, we establish the working relation based on trust and building rapport, and we do assessment and goal setting. We gather information, support them while they do the application, and we're collecting information on how we're going. Are we there yet? And then we look at implementing the goal that we have created. We've got timelines on it. We're measuring it. Sometimes people need an accountability buddy, and you can be that. How are you going with that? And maybe we set an unrealistic timeline on it because we didn't have all the information. The referrals and the advocacy, who are the extra people for a holistic approach. The planning, determining what the goals are and kind of why we're setting that goal. What will that bring for you that will serve you better? And then choosing strategies, your client, what's comfortable, what meets their abilities, their developmental stages, their capacity, that we clarify what they are and we identify when it's not working as well. So they're just some of the phases of case management and the cycle. So we may start with engagement, go to assessment, goal setting, and implement it. And then we hit an invisible barrier, one that we didn't know when we did our engagement and our planning, may be known to the client, yet not known to us, or it may be something that circumstances have changed and the client wasn't expecting it. So it's like, great, let's just revisit, go back to our assessment and our goal setting again, set new goals, new targets, new timelines, and then we implement that one. See if that's a better fit, more comfortable. And then we continue with the planning, the support, and the review. Because in the initial stages, we have established that healthy professional boundary and the positive working relationship within the scope of the role of what your case management says you can do, and all of the policies and procedures sit in First Access. So get curious and look at the First Access site as a simulated workplace organisation to give you some ideas. So the stages that you follow as the caseworker, you monitor and review, you have regular review meetings, so that's how many sessions, and some are formal, some are informal. So you might text your client, hey, just, or a phone call, just checking in, or it might be where they sit down and you actually are opening up their individual support plan for them that you've started on. And evaluating, is it effective? And then we collect that data to support that. And if not, then the client and you will reset that again. What strategies did we use? What goals did we set? Where do we need to review that, modify? And then we look at the closure and the exit. So you can often do that at the beginning. You can talk about, I will be with you for 6 weeks. And week 1, you know, we get to sort of know each other, and you can ask me questions about my role, or and if you're not happy with working with me, I can refer you to somebody else. If you're ever unhappy with the work that we do, then you can give that feedback to line managers. So we're really going over the rights and the responsibilities. It goes both ways, yours and your clients. So you'll let them know that towards the end of the time together that you'll just hold another review meeting before you close, and you will communicate what the decisions are next and the reasons why, and you finish on a positive note and those referrals in place. Some organisations do longitudinal feedback where they'll just go, it's been 3 months since we checked in, it's just wondering how things are going. Would they be someone who would be able to access the services again? But we need to be very clear for our clients what we can do and what we cannot, how we do what we do, when, how long, and why, of course. So you are restricted based on the scope of your role, your position description, your skills, and what the organisation is funded under its service model to deliver, and we stay inside that. Okay, so that's going to be the end of just our slides, which of course you do have a copy of those, and I wanted to be able to make sure that we made those available for you. I did want to share a document with you. You might find this helpful. This comes from our toolbox talk. So you won't find this in your portal, but you will see this. Sorry, just let me make that a little bit bigger. You can see all my tabs are open there. Yeah. Make it bigger but not blurry. Okay, I think we're there. Fabulous. Okay. So applying the emotional regulation, we did the window of tolerance, that's where that is. I just want to give you a checklist that caseworkers often use. You have it now because we're recording it, and so of course you can copy this and apply it. But this is something that we do when we're in the sector, and it's good for you to be able to know, have I got it right? What does that look like? So you prepare your environment, so it needs to look professional and you as well, that you establish a safe and respectful and confidential space to have these discussions, that you begin your session with a clear purpose and boundaries, how long, what the goals are and what your role is and is not, that you are culturally appropriate and trauma informed in how you do your care. So it's in your language and your tone, your volume, all of that, and you will apply that. So what we're working on now is observing the client, so emotional regulation. The client is able to identify and name their emotions, so their verbal and non-verbal cues is where we're sitting, and our file notes will reflect that. That the client demonstrates the ability to pause before reacting. So using grounding techniques, just breathe, no rush. Let's just sit with that. If you have silences when you're working with your client, get comfortable being uncomfortable in those silences. It's really important that you give them time to process and no pressure placed on them. Am I saying the right thing? It's a new relationship when you start, and it takes time to build that trust, but you get that if you are consistent. So what are the coping strategies that the client is using now? And if they don't have any, then don't you give them those tools. You acknowledge the stresses or the triggers without escalating them, making sure we do not re-injure our clients by talking about it, because even talking about it is challenging. And that you're able to reflect on those emotions in context of the goals. It's scary because we don't know whether that will work. Feeling anxious because it's uncertain. And then how do we support? These are your skills. You'll apply active listening, you'll validate the client's feelings, intentional interviewing questions, de-escalate those heightened ones, bring them back into the centre, provide psychoeducation on emotional regulation and strategies. I'm a DBT, CBT worker in the sector, so that's dialectical behaviour therapy. So a lot of it is spoken, what we say when we're speaking to others, but what our clients will say when they're talking to themselves. And then the cognitive behaviour therapy, they're the actions around that. Just to explain that for you. What's your style? Consider what feels comfortable for you. And then use your grounding techniques and mindfulness. So when I set the scene, I have calming colours, I have plants. You can look outside the window in my clinic and you can see a Zen garden. As an MD, I have lots of really fun, super cool things. All the cool things are on my desk. So we can have lots of different fidgets, depending on the age. I don't think anyone, these are great because they're all different sensory feels in that space as well. But I have them in my clinic because we do work with people who are looking for that regulation. So anyone can find a fidget is a really good thing to do. So on my wall, I have a colouring in that's 1.2 metres long, and crayons are there. And everybody that comes in does a bit of colouring in. Other stakeholders, clients, the cleaners that come into the office overnight, everyone's just in there and they do a little bit. And we start to see that sandboxes, how are you going to set up that space? What is that like for you? Are you looking at it through the lens of our client? Will it give them what they need? And then we check on our own self. Are we regulated? Are we too high or too low? Have we been rushed? Are we working on our emotional bank account? Are we making enough deposits? Sleep, sunshine, staying hydrated, nutrition, making sure that you've got that work-life balance, that the holy grail that we all try and find as well. We apply those techniques to ourselves. Some of it is environmental and then some of it is physicality as well. And that you remain respectful and calm, regulated is what calm is, and then a non-reactive under pressure, not being triggered by, but not meeting our client in that heightened space, because then you've got two heightened people in there. So when your clients are heightened, this is the time for you to remain calm. They'll join you there if you are there. It will feel safe, as they can have those emotions. Of course, that's what humans are wired around, but we want them to feel that it is safe. Just talking about things does not necessarily make people feel okay. So we need to have that cultural safety, and we need to have that diversity safety, and we need to make sure that we are setting the mood and the scene and the environment as well. So making adjustments as you review, making sure that your file notes are an accurate record of the events and conversations that took place, because there may be another worker that picks that up if you're going to be away. And then your reflections, your own client reflects on their own. I like to do those in classes because I vary how we do role plays. The person who plays the caseworker but any learner in a role-playing class reflects on the effectiveness of their support strategies, and then being able to identify what the next steps are, what the gaps are, and what might be some good strategies as well. And the same for you as a worker. Do I need to check in with my supervisor? Do I get supervision? Am I debriefing with a peer? Am I doing that within a framework that is structured? So 1/3 is always about what's happening with your client, the trends that are emerging locally. We talk a lot about housing and homelessness at the moment. It can be natural disasters. It just depends on what's happening in your community, and then what's happening generally for our clients. And then you would be talking 1/3 about how you are in your role and your peers, how that is working for you. And then the other third, when we are debriefing, reflection, continuous improvement, is what is the optics for the organisation? Am I working to my position description? Or am I finding that the work is so demanding that I have to kind of be more than one thing outside of what you are there to be doing? So that is for you to put in some good, healthy professional boundaries. You may have a caseload and you could have some very high and complex need clients. The role play that we're doing, it is complex needs. One of the learners takes it to high and complex need, high risk as well, and asks all of those psychologically safe questions to make sure they're okay. And what the answer to that is will determine the next step that you take as a worker. So that's our emotional regulation checklist. I'll show that to you again so that you've got time to capture that. Some who are in class are going to email and I'll send that out. No problem at all. But you won't find that in your learner portal because this is a sector document. And then, of course, behind the scenes, when someone's doing a role play, I mark them satisfactory, not yet satisfactory, meaning there's some gaps, and then our assessor comments, and then we sign off, and then I give that to the learner. But I actually do the reflections and the assessor feedback and peer review all live while everyone is actually in classes. So a little bit different, a little bit deeper, and then I'll do a debrief summary and make hopefully a little bit more sense around what is case management, what's our role, what else is going on for our client, which should help us determine. So this is the end of part 1. There is part 2, which is definitely our skills. Thanks so much for joining me for this part of it. And you will see your peers and other students who are going to be sitting in that space for part 2. Please reach out though. You can see the email behind me, lso@hayderinstitute.edu.au. If you've got any questions whatsoever, and if you can't make it to class because you've got those competing priorities, I hope that these 2 recordings will help you with your assessment and your learner's guide, and you'll be able to progress through your assessment work.